These are tough times for people across Ohio and many communities and across the country. And this is a time for truth. I listened to an ad on the way here. I'll tell you, you got a great boss. He runs a great operation here. And he, Bob, where are you, Bob? There he is. Bob played me a tape of one of the ads that President Obama has out there, and I just scratched my head. He talks about how wonderful it is and how we're adding jobs in the coal industry and producing more coal. And I thought, you know, how in the world can you go out there and just tell people things that aren't true? This is a time for truth. If you don't believe in coal, if you don't believe in energy independence for America, then say it. If you believe that the whole answer for our energy needs is wind and solar, why say that? Because I know he says that to some audiences out west. But it's time to tell the people of America what you believe. And I want to tell you the truth about what I stand for, what I'll do. And I want to contrast that with our president, because we would take America in different directions. In my view, he would make America more and more like Europe. I don't think Europe works in Europe. All right? I want to make America more like America. Now, when he ran for office, he said a lot of things that a lot of people nodded their head about. Said, you know, that's what I want too. That's why I think he got so many votes. He said, just as Senator Portman indicated, he said, I measure progress by whether more people are getting good jobs. But unfortunately, we got 23 million Americans. You think of that. 23 million Americans out of work or stopped looking for work or way underemployed. And then he also said he'd measure progress by whether people were able to have a job that paid for a mortgage. Well, we've had 8.5 million homes foreclosed on and home values down. And in some communities, if the major employers leave, why, there's no market whatsoever for their homes. He also said you could measure America by whether people had incomes going up or incomes going down. Well, guess what's happened in the last 3.5 years? The average income of an American family has gone down by $4,000 a year. At the same time, health care costs are up, gasoline prices are up, utility bills are up. And as a result of this, the people in this community and in this nation, the middle-class Americans, are having a hard time making ends meet. The president said he'd cut the deficit in half. He's doubled it. But there were some promises he kept. One promise he kept was with regard to energy. He said if he's elected president and his policies get put in place, the cost of energy would skyrocket. That's what he's kept. He also said you can go out and build a new coal plant if you want, but if you do, you'll go bankrupt. That's another promise he's intent on keeping. His vice president said coal is more dangerous than terrorists. Can you imagine that? This tells you precisely what he actually feels and what he's done. And his policies over the last 3.5 years have put in place the very vision he had when he was running for office. But now he wants to get reelected. And he knows to do so, he's got to win Ohio. And to win Ohio, he's got to win Eastern Ohio. And he's got to get the votes of the people in these communities all around us here. And you're not going to let that happen, because you're going to keep our jobs. You're going to keep Ohio strong and bring back America. You know, there's another promise he made. You know that every time you get a paycheck, you see there's a deduction there. It's going to Medicare. It's going into a trust account to make sure that when you retire, that there's a health program there that'll care for you. One of the things the president did, which I find extraordinary, something he never mentioned when he was running for office. You see, when he ran for office, he said he'd protect Medicare. But did you know that he has taken $716 billion out of the Medicare trust fund? He's raided that trust fund, and you know what he did with it? He's used it to pay for Obamacare, a risky, unproven federal government takeover of health care. And if I'm president of the United States, we're putting the $716 billion back. He and I have very different visions for America. He's taking America down a course you now can see. Don't listen to the words. Look at where we've been. He's an eloquent spokesman, but he's not telling you the things he's actually done or will do. Look at what he's been doing. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. I have 5 things I'm going to do, and I've been saying these 5 things across the country. I don't want you to think I've come up with a new list of 5 things just because I'm here. All right? I've got 5 things I've been talking about all over the country. I was in Florida yesterday. I gave these 5 things. Number 1, take advantage of our energy resources, our coal, our gas, our oil, our renewables, our nuclear. That's number 1. We have 250 years of coal. Why in the heck wouldn't we use it? And so I want to take advantage of those energy resources. Of course, I like all the sources of energy. You've probably heard the president say he's for all of the above. And I wondered what he meant, because I see how he's been waging war on coal. And I wondered, how could he possibly say that? Then it came to me. He's for all the sources of energy that come from above the ground. None of those that come from below the ground, like oil and coal and gas. I'm for all of the above, whether it comes above the ground or below the ground. We're going to take advantage of our energy resources to save your jobs, to create more jobs. And by the way, when we use our plentiful energy resources, our inexpensive carbon-based energy resources, you're going to see manufacturing come back to America. It's not just in this community that jobs will be grown and created. It'll be in other parts of our nation as well. We're going to bring jobs back in part by that first step I'm going to take, which is to take advantage of our energy resources. And by the way, by the end of my second term, hopefully I get that first and second term, but by the end of my second term, I make this commitment. We will have America. We will have North American energy independence. We won't have to buy oil from Venezuela and the Middle East. We're going to be independent. Number 2, I want to make sure that we have the skills to succeed. You folks here have got the skills in the industry that you've been trained in, and I salute you for that. But I want to make sure that our kids coming along get the skills they need to succeed. It is unacceptable for the place where public education was invented to have a public education which is failing too many of our kids. I will put our kids first. It's time to have schools that lead the world as opposed to schools that are in the bottom third or quartile. Number three, we have to have trade that works for America. It's good to trade with other nations. It's good for us to be able to trade. It creates jobs for us. But we have to make sure that when nations like China cheat, we hold them responsible and make them accountable. And there are big opportunities. I want to open up markets in Latin America and other places of the world, more opportunity for us to sell goods and services to people all over the world. Number 4, and this may not sound like it's connected to jobs, but it is. You see, when an entrepreneur questions, am I going to take my life savings and use it to start a little business? Or when some big foreign corporation decides if they're going to build a factory here or somewhere else, one of the things they want to know is whether America is going to become like Greece, whether the dollar is going to become worthless, whether we're going to have economic catastrophe. And as they make that measure, they look at how we're spending money more than we take in. My number 4 is to stop spending massively more than we take in to get America on track to have a balanced budget. And I'll do it. And number five is to champion small business. Look, I believe that as a nation, we have to encourage entrepreneurs and innovators. We have to help the people that want to start a business. I want to keep their taxes down, get regulators to encourage them, and I want to take that big cloud off of them. 75% of small businesses in this country, surveyed by the Chamber of Commerce, said that Obamacare makes it less likely for them to hire people. I want to get rid of Obamacare. I want to replace it. I want to repeal it. And I want to return health care and health care responsibility to our citizens and to our health care providers. And I want to get the government out of health care. Now, when I'm talking about these small businesses, I want you to know that I heard something the other day that just really surprised me. Actually, a couple things. One, I heard the president is taking the work requirement out of welfare. Yeah. I mean, we value work. We're a society which celebrates hard work. And we look to a government to make it easier for jobs to be created and people to go to work. We do not look for a government that tries to find ways to provide for people who are not willing to work. And so I'm going to put work back in welfare and make sure that able-bodied people get the jobs to do so. And he said something else which surprised me. He said this. He said, if you have a business, you didn't build that. Someone else did that. Did that surprise you, Bob? Yeah, no, I actually believe that people who start businesses built it. That people who worked hard and got a promotion earned that themselves. That people who reached and aspired get the credit for doing that. America has always been a place which celebrates people who work hard, who take risks, who champion a better future for themselves and for their families. It's who we are. If you've got a kid who makes the honor roll, that kid had to work hard and study to try and do so. I realized that to get to school, they had to go on the bus, and to have the bus drive, they had to have a bus driver. But if the kid gets the honor roll, we congratulate the kid, not the bus driver. And I'm going to make sure that in this nation, we continue to celebrate people who work hard, who are smart, who take the risk to start enterprises, and who take the risk to go for a promotion, who work hard, who do everything in their power to have a brighter future for themselves and for the people they love. I love this country. What America is was established from the very beginning. You know how unique this country is. When the founders of this nation wrote the Declaration of Independence, they said something which has changed the world. They said that our rights did not come from government. We were instead endowed by our Creator with our rights. God gave us our rights. And among those rights are life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. We're free in this nation to pursue our lives and pursue happiness as we choose. I love America. I love what this nation stands for. We face a critical time in America. We face an economy that's leaving too many people behind, schools that are failing too many people. We face a deficit which has the potential of crushing the coming generation. And to answer this, the President's about to cut $1 trillion out of our defense budget. Look, I would take America in a very different direction. We have got to keep America strong. I was lucky enough to visit some leaders in Great Britain some time ago. One of them said this to me. He said, Mitt, if you're lucky enough to be elected President of the United States and you travel around to foreign capitals, you will undoubtedly have rehearsed for you all the mistakes they think America's making. But please don't ever forget this. What we all fear the most is a weak America. American strength, strengthen our values in our homes, in the principles we hold dear. Strengthen an economy that puts people to work. Strengthen our military, second to none. American strength is the best ally peace has ever known. I make this commitment to you. If Paul Ryan, who's a fine man and a great leader, and I are elected President and Vice President, we're going to come together to make sure we keep America strong with those strong values and strong homes and schools and a strong economy with good jobs. We'll fight to protect your jobs and to build jobs for others and for your kids. We'll keep America's military strong, restore those cuts to the military. But you know what? We're also going to ask you to do something. And that is, I'd like you to commit to look around your neighborhood and in your place of work and see if there's one person you can convince to support our ticket. Just one person. You can say, look, if you want a good job, this guy knows better how to create jobs than the guy we got in there. Look at the record. I want you to use your own words to convince one person. Now, if you could do that every day, I'd win. But if we could just do it once, if you could just do it once a month, I'd probably win as well. This is a place where we can spread out the message that you're hearing today and say, you know what, America's back. We're going to save these jobs. We're going to create greater prosperity for all Americans. We're going to rebuild the middle class in America. We're not going to have to live paycheck to paycheck as we have over these last 3.5 years. We're tired of being tired. We want to have someone that will lead the country again back to greatness for all of us. So I want you to find one person to convince to vote for our ticket. Maybe you can do that once a week or once a month, and I want you to make sure they get to the polls. I want you to commit you'll also get to the polls. I make that commitment to keep America strong. You make the commitment to make sure I win. And together we're going to take back this country and keep it the hope of the earth. Thank you so very much.